Well,
blades.
people have asked for it. They've asked for these little compares, and today I figured that we would do a little compare.
Well, why not? The review went down well. They wanted to know how they compared to other blades, so let's put them up against mine.
So what have we got then?
So we've got the Ping i59,
Yeah.
which we've done an independent review of, and if you've not seen that, be up there for you.
Absolutely.
Little
Yes.
plug.
Yeah.
We're going to put it up against what I'm currently playing, which is the Srixon Z Forged.
Which has had a lot of press, hasn't it?
Yes.
Lots of positive comments.
When
from
Hideki wins the Masters with it, that's going to get some press, isn't it? That's
It
what
will
got me.
do, yeah.
Sold me them.
That's what got you in, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what's the plan today? What are we going to do? We're going to get some numbers with them?
Yeah, so we're just going to get some numbers with each one. You're going to hit some, I'm going to hit some, see where they sort of sit between, like, numbers wise. There is a 1 degree loft difference, so this is 1 degree stronger than this, so that will reflect in the numbers as well.
So you're saying the Srixon is 1 degree stronger than
stronger,
that Ping,
yeah.
But the Ping has a couple of other options.
Yes, so the Ping has the standard, the power, and the retro options as well.
Yeah.
Which is 32, 34, 36. This is just as a 7-iron. This is a 33 standard 7-iron.
Okay.
Difference as well. This has obviously got a bit of technology in it with tungsten weighting in the toe, tungsten weighting in the heel, or the aluminium forged face. This is about as bladey as it gets. There's nothing but metal in that, if that makes sense.
But today we are not testing 7-irons, we are testing 6-irons.
Yes.
Okay, so, but the continuous move of lofts is in the same of when you move into 6-irons and 8-irons and things like that.
So there's 1 degree of loft difference between the two.
Great. So we're going to go with 6 shots with the Ping to start us off with, then 6 shots with the Srixon. Both Lee and I are going to do this as well, give you some numbers. I'm also going to give you a bit of an idea on what they kind of feel like and look like, and which one of us kind of prefers one over the other. So if you've seen our review of the actual Ping i59, you'll see that actually from a visual point of view, I think both Lee and I really enjoyed hitting the club. From a feel point of view, from a looks point of view, from the compactness of it, everything that goes on with the Ping, I think it gives everything that you'd want to get from a bladed iron. Gives you the feedback. The one thing that I noticed when I was out playing with this club was actually the height difference. I felt like I was just popping it up in the air a little bit more. I could see on the golf course maybe I was hitting it a bit higher, but actually when you looked at the numbers, I wasn't really hitting it any higher than what I was hitting my own irons, but maybe I was just launching them a fraction higher off the face, which I probably in my mind was thinking that I was hitting it a little bit higher. The other thing I want to just point out is the feel from what you get from these clubs. With all the technology that kind of has gone into them, you're still getting that soft kind of buttery feel that you would expect to get from any blade really. So I'm not really feeling a difference between, let's say, the blade that I use compared to what I'm using in the Ping now. You still want to get that feedback of an off-centered strike. You still want to get that feedback when you've really middled it, and that's what I love about playing with a blade, is that it gives you that instant feedback. Sometimes when you hit these kind of game improvement irons, you can hit it a bit out the toe, a bit out the heel, and kind of get away with it, or not give you much feedback from the actual feel of the face. And to me, if I'm playing, I want to see that ball probably drop short rather than go long. And you can get a few shockers when you get into game improvement irons, which are blade, and certainly the i59 falls into this category as well, is I don't feel like I get the shocks. I get the ones that drop short, and then I get the ones that pretty much hit my number. Srixon Z Forge next up. Visually, just from the offset looking at it, the Srixon is looking bigger in its profile from sort of the leading edge to the top edge, so the Ping may be looking a little bit more compact from top to bottom. I would say from heel to toe though, I think, to be honest with you, they both look very similar, but I would say that the Ping is maybe showing off maybe a squatter look in total compared to what the Srixon is. Now, from a confidence point of view, instantly I'm going to say that the Srixon's going to give somebody maybe just that little bit more confidence because it's just a fraction bigger as a profile to hit, whereas the Ping being that little bit smaller, certainly from a visual point of view, and that's down to colouring as well. So obviously you've got the hydro pearl finish on the Ping, which you've got this nice kind of glossy kind of look from the actual Srixon as well. This one jumps out to you as though it's a bigger profile club. Absolutely going to give lots of people more confidence. If I compare top lines with the two of them, not seeing a great deal of difference here. And if I'm looking at the offset side of things, again, very, very, very similar in both profile of club. But just going back to that sort of top line look that when you look down on it, and this is quite an important part for lots and lots of players, especially those players that are going to be looking to play a set of blades. I would say the Srixon looks very flat on top, whereas the Ping certainly has more of a kind of rounded appeal. And again, it's each to their own on that. I probably prefer the Ping look from that point of view, just having that little bit more rolling effect. That flatter effect on top just makes the profile of it maybe just that little bit bigger when you look down. But to be honest with you, there's not a great deal of difference. Acoustics wise, and I always find it's quite good to, when you're in a room like a studio, even though this is kind of half out, half in, you get that bouncing around of the acoustics, and sound and feel kind of go hand in hand whenever you're hitting golf clubs. I would say that the Srixon gives me kind of a firmer feel, whereas the Ping maybe it's almost like a sweeter sound as such, in the fact that the acoustics are higher pitched, whereas the acoustics in the Srixon maybe are slightly lower pitched. So I've just mishit that slightly, just caught that a little bit out the toe, and this is what I was talking about with the Ping. When I mishit it, I want it to drop short. I always feel that with golf courses that I'd rather be short than go long. Long is beyond the golf course. There's generally lots of trouble going over the back of green, so I just want to make sure that if I mishit it, I don't want to see any shockers. I want to make sure the ball drops into the shorter position so I can work up the green from there. But feel, sounds, there's not a great deal of difference, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't expect to get a great deal of difference between these two clubs. I would say that from a personal point of view, I probably prefer the feel out of the Srixon and the sound out of the Srixon because it's more bladey to me. It's what I've expected to hear and feel over the years with blades. But from a visual point of view, I would probably then go more towards the Ping. Give us some numbers then, Lee. What is this club, or both these clubs, looking like for me as a comparison? Okay,
so red is the Ping, blue is the Srixon. Ball speed, 113 with the Ping, 117.5. So there's a 4 mile/hour difference in ball speed. Probably a little bit more than I'd expect from a 1 degree gap. Yeah. So I think that's coming off quite well of the Srixon, considering the 1 degree gap. Launch angle 17.6 with the Ping, 15.9 with the Srixon, with a really, really tight standard deviation, pretty much with both. So we've got 1.7 degrees of launch angle, 1 degree aloft expected. Spin is almost the same, but what I like of the Srixon over the Ping is the standard deviation is so consistent. Yeah. 1,000, that's doing off 1,000 revs with the Ping. So that's down at 5.3, up at nearly over 7. Yeah. Average carry 158 and 164, probably to be expected with that 1 degree difference. Peak heights almost exactly the same. They just get there at different times, basically. Yeah. And then obviously there's a bit difference in carry distance with the Srixon. And club data, if we look at the efficiency, we can see the Srixon's a little bit more efficient, which explains the ball speed coming off of it. Head speed, very, very similar, very negligible. It's 1 mile/hour. Dynamic loft, 2 degrees of difference. There's a 1 degree difference in loft, so it's there or thereabouts. And strike location is pretty similar with both. If anything, a little bit more central with the Srixon, but to be honest, there's not a lot of difference in them for you, except one's got 1 degree more loft than the other. But their numbers wise, they're where I'd expect you to be hitting them. So, like I said in our review, I really like the way that Ping have profiled this, so it looks squashed and a little bit higher in the toe for me. Yeah. And I love the fact that they put the white line on it. It just helps frame that ball up a little bit better. Now, as it looks down at the ball, the problem with it for me is it looks squashed that way, whereas you said it looks pretty similar length to the Srixon. Because of how satiny, if that's a word, it is, it looks more compact that way, and that's what worries me, and that's why I went to the Srixon, because to me it looks like a full length normal club, but with the blade effect on it, basically.
So what I said about the Srixon being that little bit bigger,
Yeah.
giving you a little bit more confidence,
Yeah.
would you say that that's the case?
That's the whole reason I went into that, because I went into blades for a reason, because I wanted to get better at strike. I didn't want to be rewarded for bad strikes, so I went into blades for that purpose. But I wanted to go into a blade that gave me a little bit more confidence than something like the Apex or this. So that's why I chose the Srixon, because of the visually it looks longer. So to me it looked like my old Apex Pro, but it gave me but it's got the blade forgiveness factor. But feel wise, it just feels fantastic. You know, it feels like a blade. It just feels soft. It feels like you've just hit it and hit it really well. And if you hit it badly, like all blades, it tells you you've hit it badly. And that's what I love about this. Even though it's got the extra weight in and things that normally a traditional blade wouldn't have to help you, it still gives you feedback on bad shots.
Comparing that to the Srixon then, sound and feel, is that any different?
I don't know, I'll have to hit the Srixon first. Yeah.
Because I said that it was more solid feel.
Yeah, so this is definitely a little bit louder than the Ping, and it does, like you said, it's more of a solid feel. The Ping is a little bit sort of muted compared to this. But feel-wise, they feel exactly the same. They feel like a blade. Well, I think all blades feel the same, basically. But this just looks a little bit longer. I don't actually know if it is. Just like a smidgen longer. Probably not enough to even notice it, but I think because of the finish, whereas this is chrome, it just gives you that visualization of it being a little bit longer than this, and that's the whole reason why I chose this.
What about your numbers then, Lee?
There's a pretty big difference between my numbers, but there is a bit of a caveat, is that the Srixon is my golf club and is fitted for me, whereas the Ping isn't. So ball speed, 122.4 versus 129.6, so a big jump of over 7 miles an hour in ball speed. And that can be seen in the standard deviations, a lot tighter as well, but again, it's my club. Interestingly, I launched the Srixon higher than I do the Ping with the 1 degree loft difference, but when I fitted myself into it, I fitted myself with that in mind because I wanted more launch because I had quite a low ball flight at the time. Spin, pretty similar, standard deviations will overlap, so you know it's possibly a little bit too high for a 6-iron. Average carry, 170 versus 181, 11 yards difference. Again, there is a difference in loft, but like I'm used to this golf club, it's my golf club. And that can be seen with the difference in peak height, and everything is just more beneficial for me.
So the big number there is the head speed, isn't it?
Yeah, so the head speed, if you look at the efficiency, I'm actually pretty much the same with them both. I just get more out of the Srixon because I swing it faster, because it's fitted for me. You know, that's the ultimate reason why. Dynamic loft is pretty much identical, taken into standard deviation. Strike location is more central with the Srixon, which is obviously going to affect the distance and the ball speed coming off just a little bit in the heel when it came to the Ping.
Yeah.
The only real difference, I think, is if I fitted myself into the Ping, I could probably get these numbers with it.
Oh,
it's just
100%.
that that's fitted for me.
It's more this club head speed. If you bring that club head speed up to where the Srixon is, I don't think there's going to be nothing in it
at all. It's purely one's fitted for me, one isn't.
So based on everything that you've hit, everything that you've seen, which one do you choose?
I choose the Srixon, and I choose it for the reason I chose it in the first place. I think feel-wise, you can't separate them. Sound-wise, they're different, but they're not different in that one's better than the other. For me, it's as I look down at it, although the bottom is a little bit thicker on the Ping, this gives me more confidence because of the length of it. So when I'm looking down at it, I don't feel like I'm playing a blade. It doesn't look like a blade. This to me just looks a little bit squashed, and because of that, just gives me no confidence that I'm going to hit the middle. So if I was choosing out the two, and money was no object, I'd still pick the Srixon.
And you mentioned the word money there. It's something that we need to have a little chat about, because
There's a big difference.
there is a massive difference.
Massive difference.
And I mean, we can't talk about the price in the fact that we don't, you know, there are RRPs and there are different prices all around the world
Yeah.
that these companies position themselves in. But we've worked out that in the UK at the moment, based on the RRP of the i59 and what the Z Forged is being sold at,
Yeah.
it's about £70.
Yeah. So the actual RRP for these clubs, bear in mind some places will give you discount, it's £220 an iron for the i59, and it's £150 an iron for the Z Forged. So it's almost a 50% increase in price for the Ping over the Srixon.
And are you seeing that?
No, there's not enough in the difference to see where this would be more, except that they've put fancy metals in it.
Okay. Just last thing, shop appeal. Put them both on the shelf. Which ones are your eyes being attracted to?
My eye is drawn to the Srixon because it's shiny, but if I look at them, I think I prefer the shop appeal look of the Ping.
So what I love about these reviews is that you and I, you know, we hit the ball quite well for both of us, but we do come out with different ideas and different sort of feelings on the clubs.
Yeah.
For me, I'm all about the Ping. I'm all about the Ping in almost every way, I think, now that I've hit them both together. Shop appeal, I just think the Ping is class. It's a classy looking club. It's a dull finish. I just think less is more sometimes with stuff like this when you look at it on the shelf. I think, yes, the Srixon is lovely to look at and it looks like a traditional blade, but I also like the fact that the Ping is nice and squat, and I don't necessarily look for confidence. If I'm going to put a blade in my bag, I should be good enough to hit a blade. So having a bigger blade, to me, actually, I want a smaller blade to focus my mind just that little bit more. So from a feel point of view, on the last little bit that I wanted to say was possibly the Srixon might just have the Ping from the feel. But to be fair, once you get playing with both of these irons, you're just going to start getting used to them and you won't really notice the difference between them. I think just that little bit higher pitch noise that comes out of the Ping is possibly a little bit nicer out of the Srixon, but again, once you get used to it. But the price of it is a concern. It's something that does concern me slightly. I'm not sure what the idea is with Ping, and obviously it must cost them a lot more to be able to produce this product. But are we seeing £70 worth of difference between the Ping compared to the Srixon? I'm certainly not seeing that. I don't think Lee is seeing that. But we would like to hear what you think, and we'd like to hear what you think about, obviously, price. We want you to tell us about what you think about this review, and we would like to hear whether you would be choosing one over the other. If you like what you're seeing from our videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, as I quite rightly said at the beginning of this video, and we'll see you again very soon.